Happy Easter. We love to focus on the exception and the mistake and the problem. We love to point out the fact that Thomas didn't believe that Jesus was risen, even though the rest of the disciples said that they saw him. I went to a parish called St. Thomas the Apostle when I was growing up. And so this Sunday, this second Sunday of Easter, was always a really big deal for whoever was preaching the homily to explain why St. Thomas is still a really important saint, and how his witness is still really important because it's St. Thomas the Apostle Parish. We read the story about doubting Thomas, and that's what we call him, and there's a lot more explanation needed. He's called Doubting Thomas, but he's not later called Inspired Thomas because no one else believed that Jesus was risen either. Whereas Mary Magdalene had already told them, "Oh, I've seen the Lord," and they were all like, "Oh, well, nah." Imagine how she must have felt having seen him, and he said, "Peace be with you." I can't remember that exact story, but she sees Jesus risen from the tomb, and the tomb is empty and everything, and and she's all full of expectation and joy and everything, and then tells the apostles, so excited, and none of them believe her. So really, they're all doubting apostles. And then Thomas is doubting, and he goes from that full of doubt and unbelieving to making a proclamation, "My Lord and my God." He counts as most improved among the apostles. We also are locked in our upper room. That's what it says at the beginning of the gospel. They were locked in for fear, because of fear. We're locked in our upper room, refusing to see or believe or trust. So how do we go from, I won't believe until I see the, like Thomas said, to saying, my Lord and my God? In the second reading, letter from St. Peter, blessed be God, who in his great mercy gave us a new birth to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, to be revealed in the final time. We're given living hope inside of ourselves because of our baptism and because of the Easter miracle of Jesus' resurrection. And that inheritance, we're given a living hope of an inheritance that's imperishable, but kept in heaven to be revealed in the final time. There's a sense, I was just talking to a friend the other day, that there's a sense of things being complete. Jesus is risen, Alleluia, all of that, and yet things, and still being not yet. Because we believe in that, we have the hope of Jesus, but not everything has been revealed. It will be revealed in the final time. At the end of the day, though, it's not us acting, it's God acting. In the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, and I love how in the Easter season the first reading is no longer from the Old Testament, but it's from the Acts of the Apostles, and we get to hear about the very earliest church and all the things that they did. It says, every day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. And here we are in our churches and in our places of work saying, how can we convince people to do better? How can we convince people? How can we? But here it says very clearly, every day the Lord added to their number. They didn't add to their number. So it's the same as at the Easter Vigil. We read all these readings from the Old Testament of the ways that God acted to save his people. The most notable being the parting of the Red Sea. The battle with the Egyptians wasn't really won by a battle. It was won by God pushing the waters aside, allowing the Israelites to pass through. And that's what we sing about in our second song. Come you faithful, raise the strain. Neither could death, nor the tomb, nor the watchers, nor the seal hold him in his upper room, locked in. Instead, he, quote, among his own appears, bestowing lasting peace, which evermore passes human knowing. Among his own appears, bestowing lasting peace, which evermore passes human knowing. That's from the fourth verse that we just sang. In the gospel, he says, peace be with you. Do not be unbelieving, but believe. We say, how can we believe when we're locked in our room? Just like Thomas. Until I see him, how can I really have that full belief? Figuratively, we're locked in. Emotionally and also spiritually, but in many ways physically today, because we can't join together at Mass. We can't go out. Many of us are really homebound. It starts for us with the my Lord and my God acknowledgement. Because unlike Thomas, we have seen the Lord at Mass back when we could go to Mass. And he tells us where two or three are gathered in my name, I am there. So we have the seeds of faith. Now we acknowledge and we say, my Lord and my God. We follow Thomas's example. We start with that, and then we move to the Acts of the Apostles thing, where they're sharing with each other and they're opening their doors to each other. It says that they had everything in common. Anyone who had more, they gave to those who had less in the Acts of the Apostles. That early church, that's our example. Thomas and the early church. So instead of doubting Thomas, I propose we call this Sunday Inspired Thomas, and we follow his example. Happy Easter. I hope you're doing all right, and let's sing one more song. Jesus Christ is risen today.